Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FAU Owl's Nest YouTube channel. This is Jacob Kelly, joined by my co-host Zach Weinberger. We are going to be coming at you guys with a lot of FAU football content as the season is ready to kick off. And today we are very fortunate to be joined by run game coordinator and offensive line coach Ed Warinner. How are you doing today, Coach?
I am doing fantastic. How are you guys? It's great to be on with you too.
It's a wonderful day, a wonderful opportunity, and a great, conversational piece to start off our very first episode, getting back here with the Owl's Nest. So again, we really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about what's ahead here as we get started next week.
And we're very excited for that training camp. So we're just going to get straight into questions and start with a few personal questions to help the viewers get to know you, Coach. Coach, you started your coaching career back in 1984 after your playing career came to an end at Akron. What first drew you into coaching?
Well, I loved football. My parents were in the field of athletics and teaching and coaching. And so my goal was to be a high school teacher in the state of Ohio. So I was off to college and play football and then try to become a high school coach in Ohio, which is where high school football is big. My dad was that. And then Dad said, go get a master's degree. So I went to the University of Akron. I GA'd at the University of Akron in 1984 and got a master's degree and fell in love with college football because of just the nature of it and what you do as a college coach, and stuck with it and started on my journey from Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, that journey started back in 1984, and since then you've coached across 11 different teams. What has the experience been like coaching all around the country?
It's really been awesome because every school that you coach at has strengths. There's no perfect school. Some people, think there's these certain group of 10 or 15 schools that are perfect. They're not, but they're great places. But you just take advantage of the people you get to know. It's all about the players. So the relationships I have, I still am close to two Akron U players from my first year in coaching 40 years ago that I texted actually yesterday. I'm still close to people that I GA'd following Akron at Michigan State. I'm still close to those. I talked to a guy on the phone last night that GA'd with me at Michigan State. So there, my first 2 years as a coach, I've been in touch with people from that beginning of my career still to this day. I mean, I've had a chance to live in all parts of the country. That's been good. I like moving around. I like people. I've met a lot of great coaches along my journey. I worked for a lot of great places, a lot of great coaches, had a lot of success. And so it's just been fun. It's just a great, it's never the same. Coaching is never a dull moment. It's not the same every day. It's very fluid. And with the new NCAA rules, it changes every day. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, and just being able to see the entire country, see all sorts of different types of people, meet all different types of people, it's gotta be one of the beautiful things, part of the job. And back in 2014 was the opportunity you had to work with Coach Herman previously on the 2014 Ohio State team, that being about 10 years ago. With Coach Herman, what have you seen change in his mentality and even coaching style back then on that coaching staff to now today as the FAU head football coach?
Well, he's gained a lot of experience in the last 10 years, and most of that experience is in a leadership role where he went from being an offensive coordinator in charge of half a football team to an entire football organization, the entire support staff. So he has great perspective on coaching a position, coaching an offensive system, coordinating an offense, and then now being a head coach for the third time. So experience becomes perspective. You have things you can fall back on. He still believes in the same thing. It's refreshing to get back with him again because he and I were a pretty good team together. I think we went 38-3 together as co-offensive coordinators at Ohio State, and he obviously called the plays and had the final say in things. But we just think alike. We believe in the same things. We believe in the same ways of moving the football and how you develop a football team. And so very few times are we not on the same page about anything. And people, I think, recognize that real quick around here. And I think that's going to be a strength for us on offense, or just in general. But I just see that he's just become very seasoned at how to lead a program outside of just leading an offense. And so I like that. And he's fun to be around. Like, he makes football's a grind. And Division I football is a grind for players, but he makes it fun. He keeps it fun. He keeps it in perspective. So that's been refreshing for the players, and it's refreshing as a coach to be a part of a system where you work hard, but you also play hard, and you also have fun, and you also enjoy each other, you know?
Yeah, that sorry, go ahead, Zach.
No, I was going to say, and with the team coming off back to back 5 of 7 seasons, and Coach Herman has said throughout the year he's been the coach so far that he wants to change the tone and set the tone, especially with basketball coming off of just those championship expectations. Can you just talk about with the past 7 months? What have you seen the team be like? Is the energy different? What's sort of the tone that you're seeing Coach Herman and the rest of the coaching staff and you sort of set for the team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with change, things become different. Tom's going to set his own culture. He's going to set a culture that he believes in, that's worked for him, that draws from his past experiences. I think the thing is that everybody realized they got a fresh start. Every player came in with a fresh start. You get a hard reset, as the guys call it today. And with that, you can make a name for yourself with the new coaching staff, with the new people here, with the head coach. Tom's very big on not a lot of rules, but we're going to hold you to those rules. So we have certain rules and certain things in the program that we want you to do. There's a high level of accountability to that. There's no margin of error for that. So it's not like, hey, he was 1 minute late, look the other way. If you're 30 seconds late, you're late. You do the same punishment if you're 30 minutes late. So don't be late. If you miss, there's this. There's accountability, and there's no getting out of it, and there's no looking the other way. And they made a big deal that he got here and the locker room was dirty, and he closed the locker room and said, nope, you guys don't get to use the locker room. That was going around at the AC media days. I saw that. Instead of saying every day the locker room's dirty, then let's do something about it. So when you hold people accountable and they don't get to use their locker room because it was dirty, and all it is just picking your stuff up and put it in the dirty clothes hamper or put it in your locker. So anyway, I love that because I'm a high accountability guy. I mean, my dad was a military guy and a coach, so I'm grown up high accountability. So I do that with the O-linemen, and now we're doing that with the entire team, and I love it because we've changed. Guys take care of business and do what they're supposed to do it when they're supposed to do it, and it's been good.
Speaking of this accountability and building a program, all this, of course, starts off the field with these expectations you have of your players, the rules you have set on the players, but then you do need to see them go out on the field and have that same mentality, have that same edge to them. Throughout the offseason, we've seen the work that the team's been putting in via multiple social medias. What has the competition level been like within specific position groups, and also position groups going against each other to try to really build this team?
Well, one of the things that Tom wanted to incorporate in the off-season program, in the weight room and the off-season conditioning, as well as practice, every day that our players work out, there is some kind of competitive exercise where they're competing against somebody else, and it's winner loser. You won, he won. There's a score kept. There's a result, not just, okay, let's see who runs over there and back the fastest, and then nothing happens. If you run over there and back the fastest and the other guy loses, then there's a punishment for him losing. Not a harsh punishment, but just recognition that when you lose, you there's something, you've got to be held accountable. So anyway, I love that. So we do that in the weight room. Today was our last workout of the summer. Then the players have 5-6 days off here before we start camp. So I went over to the beach, and we worked out this morning on the beach at 6:30. And every drill they were doing, there were 2 guys up there or 3 guys up there, and it was a competition to see who could do it better, who could do it faster, who could do it. And, they call out the winner, they call out the loser, they keep track of it. At the end, they post it. And you had this many wins, you had this many losses, and there's certain punishments for how, who loses the most, whatever. But that's the way life is. It's the way the games are. I think they keep score on the scoreboard, and somebody wins and somebody loses, and there's a result that somebody has to live with. So that's just part of the culture of learning to compete, learning to every day, how do I beat this person I'm going against? Because really football is 11 on 11, but it's one-on-one battles. There's a lot of one-on-one. Receiver and a cornerback, one-on-one. a running back and a safety one-on-one in the open field, a tackle and a defensive end one-on-one on the line of scrimmage. I mean, there's a lot of that really is what football is, and then how you coordinate it to 11 on 11. But yeah, so we just there's nothing we don't do every day that doesn't involve some kind of competition, which I think is really good for the players, and it just shows you who the competitors are, because competition isn't about who can bench the most, who has the best 40, who's got the best vertical jump, who has the biggest hand, his wingspan. I mean, all these numbers that everybody measures and says these are the competitors are the guys that are the best players. Aaron Donald doesn't win any measurable contest, does he? Does he win any measurable contest for defensive line? Height, weight, wing, hand, any measurable bench? No, somebody's better than him at every single one, but he's the best player because he's the most competitive. So, it is what it is. I mean, that's just how football is. It's really not about measurables as much as it is about competitors.
And just kind of speaking,
we drill that every day. That's just what we train them to be, competitors.
And just speaking of that competitive nature, like you said, and it kind of just shows, especially the past couple seasons, kind of going to practice just firsthand, just you can kind of see that. Besides that, what are some other traits that you're sort of looking for in your offensive lineman? Because again, offensive line has been the strength the past couple years with this team. What are you sort of trying to instill in your players?
Well, the number one thing I look for is that competitiveness and toughness. Will he compete, and is he tough? And those two traits you start with. There's a certain amount of athleticism you need to have, but I coached a guy that has started in the NFL for 10 years, and he was the highest paid free agent in the NFL, and he was not drafted. Think about this. He was not drafted, and he's been a 10-year starter in the NFL. He's played in Pro Bowls, and he's the highest paid free agent a few years ago, offensive lineman in the NFL. So is that because of measurables? Because if it was about measurables, he would have been drafted. It wasn't about measurables. It was about competitive excellence, and that's what he was. And so I've seen and been around some great players that aren't always have all the measurables. So competitiveness, toughness, then with the offensive line, there's certain characteristics you like, certain lengths, a little bit longer guys at tackle. I'm more on arm length than I am height. If you're 6'4", but you have a 6'8" wingspan, I'm good. So there's not a lot of 6'8" guys playing in the American Conference, non-Power 5 leagues. So they aren't in our leagues, But there's a lot of 6'4" guys, but they got 6'8" reach, 6'9" reach, and they can do the job. Flexibility is important. Lower body flexibility is what I look at, because it prevents you from getting injured. When you have lower body flexibility, you can get tangled up in those piles and get hit from the sides, and your body has enough movement and a little flexibility that it doesn't get hurt. So, I don't like guys that are super stiff in the lower body. I don't like guys that have really short arms, because I think football is about using your hands and controlling defenders. So long arms, good lower body flexibility, tough, competitive, and you got to be smart now. The O-line's changed. It hasn't really changed from our standpoint. Defenses do 10 times more. 10 years ago, defenses did 2 fronts, 2 blitzes, and that's what you prepared for. Now we prepare for 4 or 5 fronts and 20 blitzes. So the amount that defenses do is 5 times more than they did 10 years ago. So in that regard, that multiplies what we have to know on offensive line, because they expect every play to work against all that stuff. So that's where the challenge comes in from my coaching standpoint. That's what's changed for me, is the volume of what they do on defense. I mean, these RPOs are big now, but I mean, Tom and I did RPOs in 2007, 2008. Tom and I used to get together in 2007. I remember Tom and I getting together in a meeting room in Lawrence, Kansas, and he was the offensive coordinator at Rice, and I was the offensive coordinator at Kansas, and we had all kinds of RPOs, but we didn't put them on every play, and we didn't throw them down the field as much. And we had RPOs. We did all that stuff, and then now that's it's become more popular, but we were doing it back then. That's why Iowa State Tom went to Ohio State from Iowa State, and that's why I went to Notre Dame from Kansas, because we ran offenses that put up a lot of points and a lot of yards, and we were doing RPOs in 2007, 2008. So we were buddies back then, so that's what people don't know. We coached together in 2012, 13, and 14, but we were coaching buddies in 2006, 7, 8, 9. Yep. It would be funny, like we'd play each other. Kansas would play Iowa State, and he'd be in the press box in one booth, and I'd be down a few booths down, and then on the elevator going down at halftime or coming up for the second half, we'd be laughing at each other going, you called that play before I called it, and we knew what the names of each other's plays were. We knew it was good. So it's still like that too. So we just yeah. So that's kind of what's going on here. We brought in some good players after spring ball. We picked up some good players in the portal. That's changed college football a lot, the portal. So your roster management is the number one challenge we have. Keep your players and then acquire good other players either through the high school ranks or through the portal. And so that's, I think, the number one job of a head coach and personnel department is roster management. Because you can change a position in 1 year. You can have 6 guys leave and bring in 6 new guys, and that position can go from the worst on the team to the best of the team in 6 months, So, but you have to be judicious about how you do that, But I think we picked up some really good players in the off season. I watched them work out all summer. Feel really good about every position on our roster going into the fall, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see some of them weren't in spring ball, though, so then you want to see what they do in live competition, but just based on my experience watching them in summer training, they look pretty good,
So Kobe Lewis was one of those players that was brought in, came in from Purdue. He joins a backfield that has the 1,000-yard rusher from last season, Larry McCammon III, as well as Zabir Mobley, who really impressed last season. So you have a very talented backfield in your hands. How do you find ways to keep these guys involved and draw up plays for them going into the season?
Well, that is going to be our challenge as coaches, is distribution of the football, because all 3 of those guys are capable of rushing for 1,000 yards. All 3 of those guys are capable of catching 500 yards of passing, in my opinion, and all 3 of them are capable blockers. So I guess to keep them all happy, we're going to have to run the ball. You know what I mean? But and I just say that because, all O-line coaches love to run the football. But I do think that we can get all 3 of those. I think that one guy doing it all, I've never been around a 1 running back system. I've always been around 2 running back systems. Now we have 3. I think all 3 guys bring something to the table unique. They're all very talented. I'm glad that we have them all. Like you said, and they all get along. They all work hard, and the offensive line loves them. They love the O-line. So I think we'll be able to take care of business in that regard. I think we can be solid in the run game and have depth, and if somebody gets banged up. But I don't think anybody has to be a 25 carry a game guy. I think a bunch of guys getting 10 to 15 carries, 3 guys getting 15 carries, that's 45 rushes. That's about right? 50 rushes, 30 passes, 80 plays a game, here you go, Then you have some RPOs in there, so maybe 50 of those rushes have RPO throw on them that ends up being 45 rushes or whatever. So I think, we're in that kind of a range of who we might be. Let the O-line work, let the backs work, and then when the teams overplay to stop the run, then you can play action them, RPO them, and screen them, So I think that's a lot of who we might be.
And just sort of like one of the things that really has spoke a lot of volumes for me is when, again, coach hasn't even played in fall camp yet or hasn't even played his first game yet, but he has expressed the love that he already has for these players and for everybody involved and the support staff and everything. Can you just kind of talk about the balance of maybe showing that you care for the players that you're coaching, but also kind of putting in the authority of, like, again, we have a job to do once the fall comes.
Yeah, Tom genuinely does love these players because when you're around our guys, we have great guys on this team. There's lots of great guys here, so the cupboards are not bare here at all. We have great players. They work extremely hard. So when you're a coach and you show up and you watch these guys work as hard as they do, that makes you fall in love with people that work hard and listen to the coaching and take the coaching and accept the changes that have been made. And so, I mean, that's why they're easy to love. And then in return, coach tries to do things. When you come into a new program and you try to put your stamp on it, I think coaches believes in, and I know he does, and I mean I do, and a lot of people do, is the first things you do is what can we do to improve the life of the player? Because the players win games. I mean, we all want to take credit as coaches, yeah, but the players win the games. We have to guide them to where we want them, but what could we improve for them? So nutrition, Tom improved our nutrition and improved our budget in nutrition, and so the players really are well taken care of there. Just other things like that we do with more equipment for the players, giving them, having the ability to get to things for recovery. When I say recovery, there's a whole science to recovery because players work hard. Everybody works hard, but who recovers the fastest is the key. So ice, baths, cryo chambers, full body massages, chiropractic adjustments, yoga. I mean, our guys have done yoga once or twice a week since Tom got here. That comes out of somebody's budget. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, I'm not leading the yoga class. I mean, so we're hiring somebody. Why are we doing yoga? Why, Coach, I don't want to do yoga. Well, go ask Aaron Donald if he does yoga. Aaron Donald does yoga. Why does he do yoga? Just to waste his time? No, because it's good for your body. It's good for your muscles. It's good for you. Why do those guys all in the NFL sit in those cold tanks for 6 minutes after every workout? Because it's proven scientifically to be good for you. So we're doing all these things to help the players' bodies feel better, to recover faster, to stay healthier. Like I said, the nutrition piece, the amount of time they're on the practice field has been shortened. So less volume on the field, less time, I guess, on the field. So anyway, there's a lot of things you do like that for the players, and then you can have a reward system for guys who do things right. You get extra gear. You can give them an extra hat or two, extra sweatshirt, gear. Everybody likes gear, right? I mean, I've never had a person come to visit me at FAU in the last 3 years that didn't want some gear when they came. So, I mean, I know everybody likes gear. So our players like gear. Coaches like gear. I can't wait till next week when I go in my locker and I get all my new gear for training camp. Like, that's an exciting day for a guy who's coached 40 years. Because, no, this will be my 40th season of Division I football. And I'm excited about day one. I'm excited about going in my locker and getting all my new gear. And I show it to my wife, and she's like, "You've been getting new tennis shoes for 40 years." I'm like, really, bro? What about people? You know what I'm saying? So we just do stuff like that for the players. And then we do a lot of occasional meals where we take players and do things with them. I took the guys all out on a boat ride on the Intercoastal. Some of my guys never been in a boat. Some of my guys can't swim. They were like scared to death. And then we go up and down the Intercoastal looking at all the rich mansions up and down the Intercoastal. They kind of like that. And then we had dinner and, just doing stuff like that. Going bowling with the guys, going Top Golf. We do all kinds of stuff like that. Tom believes in all that. I believe in it. So when you do that, you start to fall in love with guys because there's something good about everybody. Everybody has good in them, and our players have lots of good in them. So you find out what that good is, and you love it, and you capitalize on it. And you connect with guys. Once you connect with them, then you can push them a little bit. So it's all about connection. Connection is defined by one thing: time. The only way you could connect with somebody is time. So you got to put time into them, genuine time, not, you got to put time in doing things with them that go beyond just what do you got to do on this play. So we spend a lot more time on that now, connection, and when you connect with people, then they'll give you more. They'll go harder. They'll be more committed to the cause,
Well, Coach, speaking of time, we really appreciate the time you've spent here to talk with us today. As we wrap things up, if you have one message to say to the FAU fans, what would it be?
I think just let's come out to these home games and support these players. We have a great group of kids. They love college football. They work extremely hard. They want to make FAU football, put us on the map. They're excited about the new conference. We saw what happened at FAU basketball, and that was because a bunch of players came together, bought in. No one wanted to be the star. They bought into their coach, and they just all worked hard, and great things happened. And we hope to do the same thing. So I'd just like to see people come out, and we play on Saturday evenings most of the time, so it's a good time to come out, and it's a beautiful stadium. So support these guys. It's not for me, it's for them. When they look up in the stands, they get excited. I'm excited about coaching if there's nobody there. I just love coaching. But for the players, having 5 or 10,000 more fans and a little noise, a little energy. So if you get time, you can get to a game. Come and watch these guys and support them on the field, because I think you're going to be impressed with how hard they play. I think you're going to be impressed with their competitiveness. I think you're going to be impressed with the results that you see too. And I think you'll see a fun brand of football in FAU Stadium, because we have a beautiful stadium, and it's a great venue to watch a Saturday night football game in the American Conference.
Well, we're very excited to see how the team plays out. That first game is going to be September 2nd, 6 p.m. against Monmouth here at home. Coach, again, thank you very much for joining today. We really appreciate you having on the show.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for having me. We follow you guys, and we're excited about what you do to promote our program, and we look forward to 2023. Here we go.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.